guys doing? I know it's been about a week since I made my last video. I've been taking up, sort of doing the most of the good weather. I was out camping, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I had no Wi-Fi, barely any electricity. It was an experience. Never done it before, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did not miss the Wi-Fi or any of that stuff at all. So, but I'm back now. A lot has happened since I was gone. One thing I do want to mention is the fact that we have come, and when I say we, I mean the freedom movement, and especially those who are unvaccinated. We have come such a long way, but it's not over. It's not over by a long shot. And when I say that things need to go back to the way they were in 2019, I mean it. I mean it. And the failure to do so will mean continued economic sabotage, meaning strikes and going on welfare if we are not able to live our lives without being vaccinated or having our masks or anything, united non-compliance, clogging up of the legal system. All of those things are going to continue to happen. And the leaders, all of them, are cracking. They are cracking. They are cracking. You know, Justin the Tar-Faced Mac Daddy Trudeau has never been more bitter than he is now. I mean, the fact that he has tried everything to get people like me to get a vaccine, and I still haven't gotten it. After everything he's tried, and now after everything he's tried, he is the one that has to blink. He has gotten rid of the vaccine requirements to go on a plane or a train. He must be feeling really, really bad. And we are going to keep the pressure. All of these mayors of these big border cities who once they thought they were big and bad, now they're literally pleading. They have their tails between their legs. And I'll show you the video. The border mayors of border towns and cities across Canada are now saying it's time to go back to normal. It's time to get rid of ArriveCan. It's time to get rid of all of it. It's time to go back to normal. We have lost. We've lost. There are just people who are not going to be vaccinated, come hell or high water, and they are determined. We do not want to have our economy destroyed. Let's go back to normal. But I am saying to especially Americans out there, but all foreigners, do not come to Canada until everything is back to normal. Don't come with your wallets and your purses and your huge families to come to Niagara Falls, Clifton Hill, Toronto, Vancouver, camping, and the Algonquins, all of those things. Do not waste your money on the Canadian economy until everything is completely back to normal. First of all, I would say don't waste your time trying to go through the border, because you see, these border people, they think they're so big and bad. I mean, they have this whole ArriveCan thing and all these. I've heard of stories of people who have been vaccinated with every vaccine for COVID-19 under the sun. They have drowned their blood. They have impured themselves. They have diseased themselves. They have weakened, completely capitulated. And what is their reward? They're still given a hard time at the border. I mean, try doing that to someone like me, who I stand my ground with these people. These people, a tingle goes up their spine when I come through. I don't give them an inch. I don't get any hard time. But you people, I mean, it is not a very pleasant thing, even for Canadians, to go through the border. Now, imagine you being a foreigner, American or whatever, going through the border. Do not, it's really sad because, and this is the thing I really don't like about my people, Canadians. They like to pretend like they have this thing against America. They always want to be better than America. You really don't understand how much you need America, especially in these border towns. I mean, places like Niagara Falls are suffering because there's no tourism. None, absolutely none. And I say, Americans, I'm talking to you, Americans, I'm talking to you. Do not come. Listen, we are winning. I have not strayed even an inch from my message against these mandates since the beginning. And I am winning. We are winning. We are winning. But we have to continue until it is over. And Americans, I'm telling you, do not come to Canada and spend money in the Canadian economy until these government officials and those people in power get their act together and give us back our freedoms. And by the way, I'm not saying thank you for the freedoms you've given me back. I'm not saying thank you. I'm demanding these. These are our rights. I'm demanding it back. You are giving it back because of the demands that the truckers have made, because of the protests, because of United Non-Compliance, because of the clogged up legal system. All of these things, you have pressure put on you. And you're going to continue having pressure put on you, imposed on you, until we get our freedoms back. And once we do get our freedoms back, don't expect any thank you from us, because they shouldn't have gone in the first place. And, all of you who say, oh, you just beating down on Canada. You always beating. You got nothing good to say about our country. You beating down on the Canadian. You ain't for the Canadian. We Canadians got to stick together. Listen to me. I don't have to have anything to do with Canada. As a dual citizen, I don't have to live in Canada. I don't have to if I chose to get rid of my citizenship and never set foot in Canada or listen to another Canadian voice or see another Canadian face again, I could do it. But I don't do it because I love my country. The reason I get so hot under the collar is because I love my country. Do you ever see me getting all hot under the collar over North Korea or Ukraine? I mean, there's a lot of things going on in Ukraine, but I couldn't care less about Ukraine. I just don't. It's not my nation. It's not my land. I couldn't give a damn. North Korea, it's not my problem. China, I mean, I wouldn't live in China, but you don't see me getting all upset about what China does to its people because it's not my concern. It just isn't. But this is my concern. And, I'm not here because I have to be here. As a dual citizen, I could say, you know what? I don't want to have anything to do with this country again. It's over. It's over. I don't do that. I don't do that. That's not somebody who hates. That's someone who loves you. And the reason I am telling Americans not to come to Canada, do not come to Canada. Don't come here. Don't come to the stores. Don't come to vacation. I want you guys to see a little bit of this video that I have of all these border mayors. Mr. Engineer, could you put this on here, please? These are the border mayors, Niagara Falls, Sarnia. Mr. Engineer, please, if you could. Thank you. Sarnia, all these little border towns who are now, they have said, look, the federal government needs to get rid of this arrive can. Let me tell you about this arrive can. I mean, oh my, anyway, I'll get into that. That's a story, brother. That if I get into arrive can, this video will be even longer than I intend it to be. But let's watch this video of these border mayors, and these are people who stood with Justin the tar-faced Mac Daddy Trudeau and the left-wing globalists who were taking away our freedoms. They stood with them lock, stock, and this is the price they pay. And you're going to hear some of these mayors saying, well, we stood with the government, we locked down like you told us, and look at the price we're getting. Yeah, that's what happens when you stand with evil. Let's watch these people. Let's watch them, Engineer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the words.
This is the mayor of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Jim Diodati.
From our member of parliament, and I'd echo all the comments that he made. This has been a huge challenge, and I don't need to tell anyone, the last 2 years have been devastating for tourism. And here in Niagara, 40,000 people count on tourism to feed their families. We've always said, follow the science. Well, the scientists are telling us now that there's no reason to have the ArriveCan app. We appreciate the announcement of yesterday, but it's a half step. We need some full steps, and we don't have time for dithering. Right now, in this situation, it's a man-made disaster that we're dealing with. We're just about to kick off the tourism season, and this is supposed to be the great recovery. And what are we doing? We need to open things up. And I understand they put more money in the budget for ArriveCan, another $25 million. Please take that money and give it to us to help us market the reopening of the border. Because what's happening right now, Americans are showing up in their minivan with their family at the border with no knowledge of the ArriveCan app. They don't have roaming. They can't download the app. There's a lineup of cars behind them. They can't get into the country. So I'll tell you something. You upset your customers, they go back and tell all their friends.
That is exactly right. And let me just say a few things that he said. It's exactly right. And it goes back to what I'm saying. Americans, do you really want to go through this? I mean, look, it's not over. The fight is not over in Canada. The fact that we still have these restrictions at the border means that things are not back the way they were in 2019. And the fact that Americans are being abused by these pipsqueak Canadian borders people, I mean, who the hell are these? I'm not, and you can say all you want, I'm beating down on the Canadian. No, these little pipsqueaks here with their tattoos all over their arm and, you know, all this sort of stuff, bullying essentially the customers of Niagara Falls tourism. You need to have this ArriveCan. You need to have a coronavirus test and blah, 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 and keep us safe and follow science. And, blah, blah, blah. And the Americans say, you know what? The hell with you. I'm never coming back to Canada again. I'm going back to America, and I'm going to tell all my friends and my family never to come to Niagara Falls again, never to come to Toronto again, never come to Windsor again, never go to Montreal, never go to Canada, these upstart damn tacky-haired Canucks here. Don't come to this country with their rude selves. Don't come here. I'm telling you, before you reach that conclusion, because, you know, Americans, they're very sensitive, you know. When you irritate Americans, they hold on to that forever. So before you have Americans go to Canada and have an experience which they conclude that they'll never come to Canada even when things open up, I'm telling Americans and all foreigners, don't come to Canada until everything is 100% back to normal in Canada. Withdrawing your money from the Canadian economy will teach the government and the people who supported the government a lesson that you do not take away our freedoms lightly. We will fight you back. We may not be mayors or premiers or prime ministers. We may not have majorities, but I'll tell you, when you irritate us too long, we will fight you back. And when we fight you back, and when we do it the hard way, it's really not nice. So, Ms. Hinter, let's continue to hear a few more of what this mayor of Niagara Falls, and keep in mind, this mayor, he's saying all the right things now. Look at that little Ukrainian flag he's got in his office there. Are you Ukrainian? I mean, if you want to be mayor of a town in Ukraine, go move to Ukraine. Otherwise, take that damn Ukrainian flag out of your little virtue signaling self. Ukraine has nothing to do with Niagara Falls. You know, when you go to downtown Niagara Falls, all these drug addicts, drug needles all over the place, people don't have jobs, the economy's suffering, and you've got a flag and you're worried about Ukraine. What's your problem? What's these politicians' problems? Anyway, and you know, this mayor, he's saying all the right things, but you have to remember, he was locking down and he was taking away our freedoms along with the federal government and everyone else. And now he wants to complain about the consequences of doing those things. So you see what's happening. He's being put under pressure because people aren't going to his stores. The economy in Niagara Falls is suffering. And I'm saying Americans and even Canadians, if you don't live in Niagara Falls, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Let's put pressure. If you can help not spending money in the Canadian economy, don't do it. and let's put pressure on the establishment to give us our freedoms back. This mayor wasn't sounding like this even a few months ago, never mind 2 years ago. And now, because of the economic and even social pressure that he's being put under, he's now on our side. We've got him on the right, correct. We've trained him in the ways of freedom. Now let's continue.
Going to have long-lasting effects on this country. It's more than $100 billion industry in this country. We need to do everything that we can to open things up. And as well, I'd echo the comments of our member of parliament that seniors have been calling me, and the numbers have been alarming, and they're feeling discriminated against. They're feeling that, I'm willing to prove that I'm a Canadian with my passport. I'm willing to prove that I've been vaccinated, even had my booster. But I cannot prove that I can use digital technology because I have a flip phone or I don't have a phone. And the answer they get your kids or your grandkids to do it for you.
All right. Let me explain a little bit about this ArriveCan business. All right. ArriveCan is an app that the government of Canada requires everybody to have if they're crossing into Canada. And I personally feel it's a tracking app. And that's why when I use it, when I go back and forth from America and back to Canada, I don't give the correct information. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It's a part of the United Non-Compliance. It's a part of the not only economic sabotage, but the political sabotage. When the Nazis took over Paris, the Free French Liberation Force, they cut the wires of the elevator in the Eiffel Tower so Hitler couldn't go up there and have a nice photo op. I consider myself a part of the Canadian liberation, our revolutionary forces. I am participating in political sabotage. So when I use ArriveCan, what it asks you to do when you're coming back to Canada, you need to put where you're going to be and where you're going to quarantine and all this stuff, personal information. I give incorrect information. I remember one time I put the address as 24 Sussex Drive in Ottawa, the Prime Minister's residence. But now, according to this mayor, you have senior citizens who have flip phones, 90s flip phones, that obviously you can't get ArriveCan through that, and they have no way of getting ArriveCan. And the border people are arrogantly telling them, well, get your children to do it. How the hell are their children going to do it when they don't have a phone? So these are the things that you will go through when trying to come to Canada. So I'm telling Americans and other foreigners, I am calling for an international boycott of the Canadian economy. And that is going to get the attention. We've already gotten the attention of these mayors. We've partly gotten the attention of the tar-faced Mac Daddy Justin Trudeau. But we need to do even more. The pressure will not stop until we get our way. And I mean it. And I don't care how childish that sounds. You can say all those little nasty little comments you want. The fact is, we are winning. Now let's continue with this mayor here. Let's continue with him.
Anyone that's been through this will realize that's very unreasonable. And what we're going to do, because of some inaction, we're going to kill our opportunity at a tourism season. And here in Niagara, 50% of the revenue comes from Americans. So we're pleading to our counterparts in Ottawa.
Mr. Drew, pause this again. Again, if you heard what he says, 50% of Niagara Falls' economy comes from Americans. So when I hear a lot of Canadians, and look, I'm not here kissing American ass. I'm a Canadian. I'm a stomped down Canadian. You listen, as I've told you, when people say, "Oh, wow, you're American," I'm a Canadian. I'll bust you upside your head. I'm a Canadian, but here's the thing: America is not something to scorn. They do have a lot of control with the Niagara Falls tourism. And right now, tourism in Niagara Falls is not doing so well. That's why when you go downtown, the Clifton Hill area, I don't know if you know about Niagara Falls, the Strip, the Clifton Hill, all the games, the casino, instead of seeing tourists, you see all these drug addicts. You see some guy pushing some cart full of goodness knows what, people begging on the streets, needles everywhere. I mean, it's a disaster. It is sad. It's the curse. Canada has gone into a curse. I mean, it's sad. It really, really is. And we can't just sit there and pretend like, we're going to keep on with this whole coronavirus thing, this whole new normal, because the fact is that these people are losing and we are winning, or at least we are having an impact. So let's continue with the mayor of Niagara Falls.
Thing and do it now. Thank you. I'd like to now introduce Mayor Musi, who's going to continue on with her comments.
Oui, bonjour.
This is going to be all French. I don't have a translator for this. Let's go to the mayor of Sarnia now. Mayor of Sarnia, he's going to also, and again, this is another mayor of Sarnia, who was supporting all of the restrictions, and now because nobody's coming to Sarnia, the economy is under strain. With our arrogant selves, we're pushing away our consumer base, our tourists and everything. Now we have trained him in the ways of freedom. So with that being said, let's go to the mayor of Sarnia in Southwest Ontario, near Detroit.
I believe I'm speaking next to Mayor Bradley of Sarnia, and I'm looking out my window right now at Port Huron, Michigan. We are no different than in previous times, like Ottawa and Hull. You just went back and forth, and you had a regular relationship. And as Mayor Diodati said, what's happening now is we head into the peak tourism season. People come here to visit here, but they're also heading to Stratford and to Niagara Falls and to Toronto. And I give a good example overnight. A business person told me he had some American businesses coming in here. Business people, they're not coming. The app, they don't understand, and they don't understand the use of it. And what we've seen, and I have to say, we're the Rodney Dangerfield of cities right now, because we're not treated with respect by the federal government. Through the 22 months of the border issues, we stood with the federal government. We met regularly by Zoom with them, and now we're just on the back burner.
And you see, that's what happens when you stand with evil. You openly admit that you stood with the government, you stood with the mandate people, you stood with the lockdown fanatics, you stood with the vaccine mandate fanatics, you stood with the mask fanatics, you stood with everything, and look where it's gotten you. Look where it's gotten your town. Look where it's gotten your economy. You're a mess. I've been to Sarnia. I haven't been there recently, but it is a nice town. I don't know how nice it is now. It's probably the same as Niagara Falls, which I go to it regularly. Niagara Falls was a beautiful town, and now just filled with a bunch of homeless people. Nobody got no jobs, idling around. You see people, you got what's the word? People. What's the word? People misbehaving, because they're idle, they're bored, nothing to do. They joyride all over the street, police sirens. I mean, it's a mess now. It's the curse, and people don't believe me when I say it. You stood with evil, and this is what you get. Sarnia and Niagara Falls and all these other mayors should have stood with us from the beginning. We would have had our freedoms a lot sooner because of the added power and strength of all these mayors. We would have had our freedoms much sooner, and your economies would have been a lot better than they are now. Instead, you stood with evil, and this is what you get. I have no sympathy for this mayor and that other mayor. You're saying the right things now, which is good, but I don't have no sympathy for you. I do have a little bit of sympathy for the people who live in these areas, only because Sarnia and Niagara Falls are pretty conservative, freedom-loving towns. It's not like downtown Toronto or downtown Montreal or one of those places. So, but nevertheless, my sympathies are very limited. Let's continue with the mayor of Sarnia.
And we don't even seem to be part of the discussion going on as it relates to airport and rail and all the other things. And it's like a boa constrictor on our communities. It's just squeezing the economy when we should be going in the other direction. And we stood by them for those 22 months, and now we can't even get them to respond to the needs that we have. And I just want to conclude by saying that it's going to be a very tough summer still for all of us. With, as was mentioned, the benefits of the support system is gone. Yet the traffic we expect to get from the United States isn't going to happen to the degree that we need it. It's a bit like being in a Monty Python skit. This has become very silly. The rules are inconsistent, and they are disrespectful of border cities that have stood by the federal government in the last 2 years. And with that, I turn it back to Barbara.
Thank you very much, mayors and MP Cannings. At this point, we are welcoming.
Well, anyway, we can stop it right there. But bottom line is that the pressure has worked. Even Doug Ford. I mean, I know he came back into office. I didn't vote for him. A lot of people didn't vote, which is stupid because these politicians don't care if you don't vote. They don't care if you don't vote. I heard one person who I like, he's a friend of mine. He's told me, well, if we don't vote, it sends a message that we're angry. They know where you're angry. They don't care. And I know the voting is rigged, but the more of us who vote, the harder it is to rig. But he's back, but Doug Ford's back, nevertheless. But even he's gotten rid of the mask mandates for transit and public health areas. And by the way, if you have a doctor or you have a clinic which is still going through the mask mandates, even though they don't have to, boycott that clinic. Boycott any business that's still going along with the mask mandates or any mandates. If there's any business that if you're an Uber driver, a skip the dishes driver, if you are a food deliverer and the place you're going to deliver to wants you to wear a mask before going into their store, don't go there. If you are a distributor, a manufacturer, and a business wants you to put some of their products in their store, but that store requires you to have a mask or a vaccine, don't put your products in that store. We are going to destroy. I mean, these mandates, these once powerful mandates, you can't touch us with their big smug faces. We have destroyed them, but there's still more destroying to do. The snake is still squirming around. When you step on a bug or something or a spider and it's still moving, it's injured, it's dying, but it's still moving around and it needs that extra stomp to finally kill it. That's what we need to do. And we are killing this foul beast, but it's still squirming around and it still needs more pressure to finally kill it. And we will kill it, but it'll only happen if you and me cooperate and we continue standing strong. And I say, Americans, don't bother coming to Canada. There's plenty of places in America you can go. There's plenty of places. You don't even have to come to Canada to see Niagara Falls. You want to go to Mount Rushmore, you want the Statue of Liberty, you want to go to the Alamo, you want to go to Florida, you want to go to Sanford City, you want to go wherever. Forget about Canada right now. I'm talking, if you are in Britain, you want to go to Buckingham Palace, you want to go to Stonehenge, you want to go to Windsor. You don't. I am calling for the world to boycott Canada until the freedoms are completely back, because this is the message that they know. They're losing their economies are faltering. They're faltering and they feel it. And we have to stick together and we have to be strong. I mean, just don't come. We have to stay resolute, and then we'll finally kill this beast. And as for Canadians, I continue to advocate united non-compliance. Don't comply to anything. If your boss says you have to be vaccinated, you quit. and go on welfare. And don't give me any nonsense about, welfare. Oh, I'm too proud to go on welfare. No. That money is yours. It belongs to you. You've worked for years breaking your back for this government and this country and this economy. And now your boss is telling you you have to put medication in your body in order to keep working. To hell with that. I am going to quit that job, and I'm going to, and because I need money, I'm going to get the reparations from the government I need for the pain and suffering that they put me through. You have to take that mindset, and don't be afraid to get tickets, and don't be afraid to get locked up, and don't be afraid to go to court. You're clogging up the legal system. They're being forced to throw out all of these cases. I mean, I've heard of people who have done some really terrible things, and the cases have to be thrown out because the courts are just too clogged up. So we have to continue. This is the end game now. We have to be as strong as we ever were. And with that being said, I'm not going to inflict myself on you anymore. I hope I have made my point. I hope it has gone through your head. And I don't want to hear about any American now. Well, you make a good point, but I'm going to come to Canada. Don't bother. Don't come. We have to boycott the Canadian economy. We have to do it. I know we Canadians have no choice. But, I mean, I have a choice. I'm dual citizen. Yeah, I have done my bit to boycott the Canadian economy the way I can. But if you don't have to be here, don't spend money in the Canadian economy, and watch how quick, just like all these mayors, all these mandates, they're going to keep going down, 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 down. And with that being said, this is